Welcome to our channel. These are rare photographs from history, presented with context and accuracy. To see more historical photos, you can subscribe to our channel. A bomb squad removes a pipe bomb left at the Times Square Paramount Theatre, left by serial bomber George Metesky, who terrorized New York for 17 years, December 1956. A crowd of West Berlin residents watched as an East German policeman patrolled the Berlin Wall. A fighter of the Shan United Revolutionary Army standing guard at a border crossing between Thailand and Thai state, 1984. A Finnish soldier during the Winter War with Russia, 1940. A Lebanese businessman, Edmund Kayat, carried an 85-pound wooden cross to protest the Berlin Wall, October 1961. A local woman held up one of the natural mummies found in the crypts under the Cathedral of St. Andrew, the Apostle, in Venzone, Italy, September 1950. The mummified bodies date from 1348 to 1881. A look at the consolidated B-24 Liberator's cockpit, 1944. A masked security guard stands watch over coffins at a temporary morgue set up at the Seguros Social Baseball Stadium in Mexico City, September 1985. A Russian immigrant and her 11-month-old baby at Ellis Island, 1908. A window washer cleans the exterior of the United Nations headquarters in New York City, April 1953. A young Jimmy Carter in his naval uniform with wife Rosalind. They were married for 77 years. A youngster watching at home on a pay television in 1963. A slot meter on the right allows him to insert a 6-pence coin for an hour of viewing. Actress Anita Ekberg meets paparazzi outside of her house with a bow and arrow after being relentlessly followed by them all night, 1960. Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini in an open car during a motorcade, Berlin, Germany, 1937. Adolf Hitler meets the Indian nationalist leader Subhas Chandra Bose. Allied soldiers attend a service in the bombed-out shell of Coventry Cathedral in England, May 1945. An armed Russian police officer stood guard over which were arrested in an anti-organized crime operation in Moscow, 1990s. An East German guard threw a ball back to a child on the West German side of the Berlin Wall in 1962. An instructor demonstrates what looks to be a tomo nage throw to students at a judo class for Japanese Americans in the Rowa War Relocation Center, Arkansas, November 1942. An Irish Catholic wearing a gas mask stands in front of a wall with graffiti reading, "We want peace," moments before tear gas is thrown by British troops, 1969. An old Chinese woman is helped aboard a United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation Administration ship carrying Chinese repatriates, Manila, Philippines, February 1946. Armed radical members of the Slovak People's Party raid the party headquarters in an attempt to secure Slovak independence after Germany and Hungary threatened Czechoslovakia again, March 1939. As the Oktoberfest in Munich started today, here's how it looked like in 1956. Azerbaijanis who managed to escape the Khojaly massacre taking refuge in the Agdam Mosque. Burmese warlord and opium king Kun Sa, the dominant figure in the Golden Triangle region. He earned over $5 billion in drug sales and at one point supplied 1/4 of the world's heroin. Carter met with Israel's Menahem Begin and Anwar Sadat of Egypt at Camp David, 1978. The agreements that resulted from the meetings, known as the Camp David Accords, led to a historic peace treaty between Israel and Egypt. Che Guevara on the left in Cuba during a time of revolution, 1959. Children greet Edwin Pauley in Liaoning, China, during the U.S. reparations tour, June 1946. Pauley was the U.S. ambassador on the Allied Reparations Committee from 1945 to 1947. Demonstration in front of the consulate of Suriname to protest against the December murders under Desi Bouterse regime, Amsterdam, Netherlands, December 1987. Deployed in Labrador by a Nazi U-boat in 1943, the weather station Kurt remained here until being finally discovered by Canadians in 1981. Detroit police using tear gas to quell clashes between white and black Americans. Later, US troops intended for World War II had to be deployed to stop the violence, June 1943. Dr. Jessup's Seminary and American Mission Press, Beirut, Lebanon, 1860s. Edvard Benes in the train window returns to Prague after 7 years in exile to once again lead Czechoslovakia as president, May 1945. Female fighters of the IRA search a man in Belfast, Northern Ireland, 1969. Fidel Castro smoking a cigar and wearing 2 Rolex watches during a meeting with Khrushchev, 1963. First known photo of Dracula's castle, also Bran Castle, Romania, 1909. Freddie Mercury in dressing room, 1978. German prisoners clean a Press cinema van belonging to the Army Film Service. Before that, they were used to exhume the dead bodies of several French resistance fighters who were shot by the enemy. House pages carry an injured person on a stretcher after 4 Puerto Rican terrorists shot into the ladies' gallery of the House of Representatives chamber in the U.S. Capitol in 1954. Indian ward at the 3rd New Zealand General Hospital in Beirut, Lebanon, September 1942. J. Robert Oppenheimer spoke to New York Times reporter William Lawrence during a press visit to the A-bomb blast site, 1945. Jimmy Carter was sworn in as the 39th President of the United States by U.S. Supreme Court, Chief Justice Warren Burger, January 1977. John Kennedy and Richard Nixon after the second Kennedy-Nixon debate, 1960. John McCain, prisoner of war in Vietnam for 5.5 years. He suffered beatings, heat exhaustion, nail pulling, and was placed in solitary confinement for 2 years. Liberation Monument in Pyongyang in winter, North Korea, 1970s. Marlon Brando on the set of Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now, 1979. Married couple, Mexico, 1940. Mary Windsor holding a sign in support of suffrage protesters who had been imprisoned, Washington, D.C., 1917. Members of the American Ambulance Corps carried a wounded Finnish soldier from a battle with Russia, 1939. Nizam of Hyderabad, Mir Osman Ali, paying homage to the Crown, King George V and Queen at Delhi Durbar, 1911. Parabats of the South African Defence Force sit and wait for deployment after being told just moments earlier that they were about to take part in a raid on the Angolan town, May 1978. Photo of total solar eclipse on July 11, 1991, Chiapas, Mexico. Pope John Paul II meeting with Paraguayan dictator Alfredo Stroessner, 1988. Stroessner was overthrown and sent into exile the year after. Public beheading in China during the final years of the Qing dynasty, observed by military personnel and townspeople. Robert Redford, Willie Nelson, and Waylon Jennings, Nashville, 1977. Rwandan dictator Juvenal Habyarimana, who ruled the country for over 20 years after seizing power in 1973. He carried out oppressive racial policies favoring a Hutu elite. His 1994 assassination set the Rwandan genocide in motion. Senior citizens marched to stop inflation and tax the rich, October 1973. Soldiers coming out of a cabin after a sauna bath on a day the temperature was -30, Finland, 1940. South Vietnamese President Nguyen Van Thieu in the ruins of La Vang Church after recapturing the city from the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese forces. Students in the 1900s wearing paper sun visor, anti-distraction hats, intended to block out distractions, keep their attention on schoolwork. Swans are removed from a stretch of the River Thames near Henley to make way for the annual regatta, 1900. Table at which the local Japanese commander signed the surrender documents in 1945. Costumes lined up behind the table are those of ancient Chinese palace guards. The Chinese throne is in the background. Tamil Tiger commanders with their walkie-talkies during the Thandiculum infiltration attack, June 1997. The bookcase that was placed in front of the entrance to the secret annex, where the Frank family hid from July 1942 to August 1944. The Chapel Hill Freedom Committee organized a 13-mile march from Durham to Chapel Hill, 1964. The famous Georgetown Railroad Loop, Colorado, 1890s. The Great Johnstown Flood, May 1889. The Legion of French Volunteers Against Bolshevism, 1942. The Stuttgart tram network returns to service in the early phases of post-war reconstruction, June 1945. Thousands of Albanians escaped to Italy during the collapse of communism, 1991. US paratroopers in Vietnam on their way to their first jump of the war, 1967. A corpse dangling from a tree as a man gleefully smashes the lifeless body with a plastic chair. Thammasat University Massacre, 1976. US Marine and a Japanese boy, Battle of Tinian, 1944. West Berlin children built a pretend Berlin Wall,